Hello everybody and welcome to the Kube Vanguard. So I've been practicing this, but not through my own will. I actually did the entire show, was really pleased with myself, and then I looked at the video file and I was given some advice to change the format of the file that's the video saved in, which wonderful. That was on Friday. Today's Sunday. Decided to record. I recorded. That was great. I told a few spur of the moment jokes that I thought went really well. I even laughed myself. And then I stopped the video. And then I went to the file to watch it. And guess what? It was a completely black screen with no sound. So the joke was on me in the end. It just goes to show, don't tell too many jokes during a recording. Now, these are the trials and tribulations of learning recording software with brand new recording equipment, which is really expensive. So you have to shave and stuff, and you can't, you have to have slept a bit, or else you have these, it notices everything. At least that's what it looks like to me. Luckily, I'm not here for a fashion show, or I'm not trying to get onto Hollywood, into some movie. I'm talking about Kubernetes, in which case I can really look, well, I have to look at least slightly presentable. So I hope this is recording, because if this happens the second time, it's going to be quite annoying. So what's up in my neck of the woods? Well, this week, in the middle of the week, I had the CKA show where I discussed the Certified Kubernetes Administrator exam, which I just took last weekend and passed, thank goodness, and talked about that. One new issue has come up after the show that I did, I think the middle of the week. I still have not gotten my Credly confirmation of getting a new badge, which is slightly annoying. So I got obviously the certificate from the Linux Foundation, so that's all good. It's got a number, it's all legit, no worries there. But Credly, as you know, they've got a deal with Credly, and Credly is supposed to send you this happy email saying you've got a new badge, and then you can press it and send it to the whole world and whatnot. Still don't have that. It's been more than 7 days. And I say it's annoying because, these certifications are not cheap. And so I don't want to be mean, there's always problems. But I think the more you pay, the less problems there should be. Anyways, I put in a case with Linux Foundation, and so we'll see. Probably on Monday they'll address it. So just keep in mind, if you don't get your Credly confirmation of having a badge, create a support case. You have to log into your training portal at the Linux Foundation and create a case and just explain to them. So hopefully that'll be solved soon. As I said, I've got the certification PDF you get from Linux Foundation right away when you get the results, so that's fine. All right. Apart from that, well, talking about Kubernetes, stay on top of that to raise my mood. Why? Because it's December 17th. So, well, why December 17th? It's the holidays, whatnot. Yes, it's true, but it's raining outside. So I'm in Toronto, Canada, and it's raining outside December 17th. That's not fun. It's December when we want snow. Why? Because you go out tobogganing, you can build snowmen, you can, I don't know, go skiing, whatnot. It's the darkest time of the year too. So another factor is the snow reflects the streetlights, so things seem brighter. When it's raining and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon it gets pitch black dark, it's very depressing. You can't ski, you can't do anything. All you can do is walk outside with an umbrella. So cases like this, go downstairs and do some Kubernetes, you'll feel better. Not to mention that if it's raining now in December, you know what's going to happen in May. When we don't want snow anymore, there'll be tons of snow. So it'll be equally annoying or depressing, how you look at it, factor of life. Anyways, you can go downstairs, go in some hidden room, not look at the weather, and do Kubernetes. And that's what we're going to do right now. So what are we talking about this week? We're talking about this really fun application I found. I call it fun because it supposedly finds orphan resources in your Kubernetes cluster. Now, one disclaimer right from the get-go. Never use anything in your production right away if you've just seen it on the internet. Okay? I am the last person who likes bureaucracy, and so the whole, what are they called, change control procedures and meetings, I never really liked them, but more often not because they were overkill. I want to go to lunch. Okay, let's have a change control meeting. What were the effects of this? How, that kind of thing, right? But using new software in a cluster, doing anything which could harm your production, obviously it's good to have that change control meeting. Not only to protect yourself from yourself, but also it's a defense for you in the future, because if something does go wrong in production, you can say, well, we put this in front of the change control board or committee or whatever it is, and everyone reviewed this and everyone agreed on this. So there's a joint responsibility for this decision. All right, saying that, always have a lab handy where you can do whatever you want. Well, with obviously whatever you want, but within, don't attack your production from your lab. But you can do things like this, test new applications. That we're going to do right now with KOR. Okay, it's called KOR. I found it, I think it was just pop up in my LinkedIn feed. I sign up for all these Kubernetes feeds, and they tell you all sorts of interesting stuff. And one was this, KOR, Kubernetes Orphan Resources Finder. They didn't get the F in there, but it's called Finder. So let's go to their webpage, and we will see what it looks like. So here we are in GitHub, and as I said, it is called KOR, and that stands for Kubernetes Orphan Resources Finder, without the F for some reason, maybe because it's too long, but that's pretty cool, KOR. And I like the way they have little microscope there to try to find stuff. And this is wonderful because look, my test labs, I create things. I'll use Helm, but sometimes I'll take pieces out and I'll create extra pieces and an ingress here, a secret there, a config map over there, and then I forget. So my lab becomes very bloated. And sometimes I wonder what's out there. Now, the thing is, if you keep your lab more or less lean and mean, since you've only got a few namespaces or whatever, you might be okay. But I've had labs where I've had like tons of namespaces, and I'm not going to go through each namespace or do, kube find all. I'd like something just to show me really quickly. And apparently this does that. So there's a little description, installation. You can do it various ways. You can use basically a binary on your system. You can use Docker, or you can actually use Helm, and it'll create a cron job within your cluster. So the idea there is that you have it running periodically, and then probably in the logs or something, it'll say that, well, these things have been found. So that's useful too. However, I decided just to try using this in my little lab. So I'm not, my lab, but on my, using the binary, just as I don't want to get a cron job installed, whatnot. So here I am. Let's go to the terminal, and we will check out what we've got here. So I've already downloaded, and I downloaded the tarball for my architecture and my processor. Same thing, actually. And you can see it there, KOR. Now, obviously, if I'm using this a lot, I'm going to put it in my path somewhere. But right now, I've just kept it in my home area just to see what it's like. So let's just run it and see. Wow, look at all that. We got all sorts of stuff we can do. Now, I already created some junk. I'm great at doing that. Let's create some more. Why not? We're having fun. So let's create a config map. Let's create a new, I'll tell you what, we're going to go all out. We're going to create a namespace called Jeff. Okay. And we're going to create in there a config map. So create CM, and we'll call that Jeff bad, just so we know what it is. So, from literal equals, I don't know, this equals junk. Okay. Oh, and there's a mistake right there. So if you've done the Kubernetes certified administrator exam, you will know if you want to create this, you should create it in the namespace, which I wasn't going to do. I was going to put it in default. So let's put an N in there. And what do we call the namespace? We called it Jeff, just so I wouldn't forget. Okay, let's create that, and it's created. Okay, so now let's see if this thing can find config maps. So let's try the shortened version. So KOR and then CM, and off it goes. I got a few more in there too, because I think I was playing around. Yes, so there we go. Look at that. So we have in namespace test, we have Jeff. In namespace default, we've got a Jeff, and there's Jeff bad in namespace Jeff. So I put Jeff all over the place just so that Jeff creates a lot of junk. But as you can see, it's actually done its job. And look, I like this little blue logo it's got there. Now, it's found some other stuff, which I'm kind of questioning. Like it doesn't like my Ingress Nginx controller, which I don't know if I want to remove that. So again, use with caution. Maybe it doesn't understand everything. But remember, a lot of times when you're creating test applications or things, you're going to create a separate namespace, and you'll go in and fiddle around with it and just leave it there. So that's what you're really interested in. Like, I'm not going to take seriously what it's found in Kube system. Like, I'm certainly not going to remove the cluster DNS and these config maps in there. I probably think they're being used. This is a K3S setup here, so perhaps that has an effect. Remember, K3S is slightly different from K8S, although I think that the major APIs there are probably the same. But more importantly, it did at a glance find very quickly for me config maps that I know for a fact are not needed. Okay, So, someone could argue, well, why don't you just look for namespaces that you don't use anymore and get rid of them? Yeah, you could do that. But what if you've got a namespace, we've got some application you've been playing with for a long time, you want to keep it, and you don't want to nuke the entire application namespace just because there's, a bunch of junk in there. This is probably better, right? You get a complicated setup. So this seems to work pretty nicely. Again, you could set up in a cron job if you wanted to, and it would report to you, what's happening. Yeah, so I think I like that. I don't know. Again, I would definitely not put it in production yet, and even in my lab, I would be careful not to do anything. Again, it seems to be very, non-invasive, as they say. It looks like all it's going to do is report to you. It's not going to go off and then delete everything. So that's okay. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Certainly, every extra tool counts. We will continue to follow this to see where it goes. Let's see what other notes they might have here. Just out of interest, always read the GitHub. So it's giving you like the flags, like this newer than string. Oh, that's interesting too. You can do things like newer than, right? So, let's say you went nuts last night, you forgot what you did, and you want to find all the junk you created last night. Well, you can do it there. So it's got a lot of little options there. PVCs, PVs. Oh, it does allow you to delete, but yeah, I mean that's interesting. So it will allow you to delete, but you have to actually do that, right? I don't think create a cron job to automatically delete. You might. Oh, look at this Grafana. You can connect it to Grafana, which is quite interesting. So you can actually see your junk in graphical format, which would be awfully nice. Okay, well, I'd say it's a good little application. I don't know if I would. I wouldn't use it in production yet, but certainly it has some promise. Okay, so that was fun. That'll be the Kube Vanguard for this week. Next week, I'm going to have another show. As you can tell, I'm slowly but surely trying to improve my video setup and my video skills. Today was one of those, as I say again, test runs where I did a great show and it was totally in stealth mode. No one could see it. So hopefully that won't happen again. And until next weekend, we'll see you on the Kube Vanguard.